Welcome back to the Hardware Unboxed News Corner. Big week of news has just occurred, lots of topics to get through in what is a bit of a surprise given April tends to be one of the slowest months of the year. Also, you might have noticed a few items slowly disappearing from the back of my set here. That's because I'm moving house, which means this set does need to be deconstructed. If you're interested in getting a behind the scenes look at that process, our new boxes series will be running over the next few weeks on our Patreon behind the scenes channel. So check that out if you are a Patreon member. Anyway, let's get on with the show. So one of the bigger news stories to emerge this week concerns the PlayStation 5. Now, we aren't a console gaming channel and really don't care what Sony or Microsoft are doing with their next-gen consoles for the most part, but an exclusive published in Wired this week has revealed a few tidbits about the PS5 that are relevant for us PC gamers out there. It's no surprise that the PS5 will have an AMD chip inside. I think most people assumed this would be the case. It's also not surprising that the CPU side will be using AMD's Zen 2 architecture built on 7nm, and in fact there will be 8 cores. However, the small tidbit here that is getting PC gamers excited concerns the GPU. Sony is using a custom variant of Radeon's Navi family, and that GPU will support ray tracing. We don't know a whole lot about Navi. In fact, we know basically nothing because AMD hasn't even begun teasing the technology, but this reveal could hint at what is in store for PC gamers. Navi for desktop PCs might support ray tracing. Unfortunately, we really are stuck with just saying it might support ray tracing because at the end of the day, nothing has been confirmed. Even if this GPU supports ray tracing on consoles, this functionality might not be present in the desktop GPUs, given Sony is specifically using a custom Navi variant. Ray tracing on consoles could also involve some special software or even separate hardware tricks which might not be available on PC. It definitely is exciting that Navi in some form will support ray tracing, and that could make the jump over to PC, but we just want to temper expectations given we still have so little information. In fact, this teaser for the PS5 doesn't reveal any other interesting specifications relating to the GPU, so we don't know how powerful it will be. The only thing mentioned was Navi and ray tracing, with more to be revealed down the line. This second story is one that quickly blew up and generated a lot of discussion in our Patreon exclusive Discord community. MSI are not going to support AMD's Zen 2 processors on their 300 series motherboards. At least this was the story that was generated on Reddit from an email thread from one of MSI's customer service representatives. If this story were true, it would of course be very disappointing, as the whole premise of AMD's AM4 platform was that the socket would be supported for several generations up to 2020. So people could comfortably buy a 300 series motherboard knowing that they can upgrade to a more powerful CPU in a few years' time without needing to replace the motherboard. This upgrade path has been a huge selling point for Ryzen and its motherboards, and something we've talked about a lot. Luckily for MSI 300 series owners, the story was basically a load of crap. MSI issued a clarification stating that actually Zen 2 will be supported as expected on most of MSI's 300 and 400 series motherboards. It's not clear if every board will be supported. MSI say they are still performing extensive testing on our existing lineup of 300 and 400 series AM4 motherboards to verify potential compatibility for the next gen AMD Ryzen CPUs. And the list of boards with confirmed support for Zen 2 doesn't have every single board on the market. However, most boards are on the list, including all the major ones, all the high-end ones, and all the popular ones, including B350 boards, so I think there shouldn't be much concern about support moving forward. In another story related to AMD, it appears as though the company is preparing a collection of 50th anniversary products to, of course, celebrate the company's 50th birthday. However, it doesn't appear as though these products are anything new, so nothing Zen 2 or Navi based. Instead, they're just special editions of existing products. One retailer, ShopBLT, posted a listing for a Ryzen 7 2700X 50th Anniversary Edition CPU with a higher price than the regular version of this CPU. The listing has since been pulled down. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about specs or whether this special 2700X will be any different from other 2700Xs, although we'd expect the 50th anniversary model to include a special engraving on the heat spreader. I doubt though we'll see any changes to specs. Sapphire also appear to be readying a gold version of their RX 590 Nitro Plus GPU. We're not sure if this is in fact related to AMD's 50th anniversary celebrations or whether Sapphire has just felt like making a gold variant, but either way, you should be able to get this product soon. Final AMD story before moving on to other things. Right now you can get a Ryzen 5 1600 processor for a super cheap price of just $120 through Amazon and Newegg, or just $80 in store at Micro Center. The CPU has briefly appeared at $120 for a few days last month, but it's never been available for $80, making it a bit of a steal right now considering it's still a very capable CPU. I'd expect to see more of these types of discounts as we get closer to AMD's Ryzen 3000 series launch in the next few months. TSMC has unveiled a new manufacturing process they're calling 6nm, or CLN6FF. This new node is focused primarily on providing higher transistor density than their 7nm node, offering 18% higher density without any significant improvements to performance or power consumption. To achieve this, the company is using new capabilities in extreme ultraviolet lithography. Now you might be wondering, why would TSMC develop 6nm alongside 7nm+, their other node that succeeds 7nm? When 7nm+ provides higher transistor density as well as performance and power improvements, you'd think that most companies wouldn't bother with 6nm and just go from 7nm to 7nm+. However, 6nm uses many of the same design rules as 7nm, so a company that already has a design for 7nm should be able to transition it to 6nm at a reasonably low cost, at least lower than what it would take to bring that design to 7nm+. This could be beneficial to customers that are targeting density over other improvements and want to achieve this at the lowest possible development cost. 6nm will begin risk production in the first quarter of 2020 and should be available for a broad range of applications, according to TSMC. And in other foundry news, Samsung has completed development on their 5nm technology, which, like most leading-edge processors, uses extreme ultraviolet lithography. Samsung says that compared to 7nm, 5nm brings a 25% increase in logic area efficiency with either 20% lower power consumption or 10% higher performance. So that's a pretty decent gain. Samsung also says that the transition from 7nm to 5nm should be pretty easy as it reuses a lot of IP. Moving into monitor news now, and we have 4 new interesting displays from Acer that were announced this week. The lineup is a little confusing, but there are lots of attractive high-end displays here that I think will interest gamers. The first one is the Acer Predator CG437K, which, despite receiving Predator branding, is actually just a FreeSync monitor, though these are now compatible with NVIDIA GPUs anyway. So this is a 43-inch 3840 by 2160 VA display with a 144Hz maximum refresh rate, 90% coverage of DCI-P3 and peak brightness of 1000 nits. It's display HDR 1000 certified as a result. There's no word on specific local dimming capabilities, but it has to include at least some form of dimming to be display HDR 1000 certified. This sounds like a pretty compelling large monitor for gamers, and it will be available for $1,300 around August to September. Next up, we have the Acer Concept D CM7321K, which is a 32-inch 4K IPS display with mini LED backlighting. This monitor should be quite similar to the Asus models we talked about last week in that it has 1152 local dimming zones, peak brightness of 1000 nits, and 99% Adobe RGB coverage. Positioned as more of a content creation display, it is only 60 Hz, but has factory calibration to a delta E of less than 1 and lots of creator-specific features. It will also have a pro-grade price of $3,000 when it launches in September. Then we have the Acer Concept D CP7271K, a G-Sync Ultimate display that's designed for both content creators and gamers. It has a 27-inch 4K panel at up to 144Hz with display HDR 1000 certification, so again, it will have local dimming, and Acer says it supports 93% DCI-P3 coverage. This monitor will cost $2,000 and will be available in July. Then finally, we have the Concept D CP3271K, another 27-inch 4K 144Hz monitor, again designed for content creation with factory calibration to a delta E of less than 1, as well as gaming with that high refresh rate and adaptive sync. However, this isn't as high-end of a monitor as the CP7271K, so it lacks local dimming and is only certified for display HDR 400. No word on pricing or launch date for this one. Gigabyte are expanding into yet another market with their Aorus branding, this time CPU coolers with the ATC 800, a beefy tower cooler with dual 120mm RGB fans and 6 6mm nickel-plated copper heat pipes. Weighing in at a little over 1 kilogram, the cooler is good for up to 200 watt loads and supports sockets including AM4, LGA 2066 and LGA 115X. No word on pricing or release date just yet. I think we'll see more of this at Computex. And we're going to round this one out with the latest set of GTX 1650 rumors from video cards. They're claiming the new Turing-based graphics card will pack 896 CUDA cores, 4GB of GDDR5 memory on a 128-bit bus, and will be clocked at 1485 MHz base and 1665 MHz boost. Allegedly, the card is launching April 23rd for $149. We haven't seen specs for this card just yet, but everything here sounds about right, and it shouldn't be too long until we learn how Nvidia's RX 570 competitor will fare. That's it for this week's News Corner. I hope everyone is enjoying their Easter break. Here in Australia, we have basically a 4-day public holiday, and then there's Anzac Day next week as well. So definitely lots of breaks. Enjoy that time off. Subscribe to get this segment in your inbox every Friday. Consider supporting us on Patreon to catch some behind the scenes videos. And I'll see you in the next one.